Hello everyone, good morning and welcome back to Translation 1 Summer Course 2020. Today we are going to embark on class 17. We are going to continue what we have started in class 16, where I talked about Arabization, which is a very important mean, which is also a major technique in or method in cultural communication. When we talked about Arabization, we talked about the methods of Arabization, and here we talk about 4 methods: transcription, naturalization, translation, and coinage. These are the 4 methods of Arabization. Last time we have covered transcription, where we transfer the word as it is in the source language. Bank becomes bank. Telephone becomes telephone. Mobile becomes mobile. Transcription, you just cut and paste. Okay? And according to the professor who wrote the book, Hassan Ghazala, he believes this book, Okay? He believes that this is the worst because it alienates the Arabic language, and it can signify that Arabic language is so poor, is not creative enough to swallow and digest and give equivalents for newly coming words. The second method is naturalization, where a word is transferred with certain changes, where the target language rules apply to the coming words. Technology becomes technologia, biology becomes biologia, and you make feminine, masculine, dual, plural, singular. You can play with the word according to the rules of Arabic language. تكنولوجيين, تكنولوجيات, تكنولوجي صفة, تكنولوجي اللي بيشتغل في التكنولوجيا, and so on and so forth. Today we are going to talk about the third method of Arabization. The writer here deals with Arabization as the umbrella term that can include all sorts of cultural communication. And here he subsumes or includes translation under the umbrella of Arabization. He says that as a means of Arabization, translation is the transmission of English technical terms into Arabic. How? Using words that already exist in Arabic language. This is how translation different from transcription and naturalization. You already have words, you use them. Okay? Let us see how. Let us see how we're going to translate biology, for example. Instead of transcription, biology, or naturalization, biology, biologiyin, biologiyat. Let us see how translation will deal with biology, for example. In other words, Arabic words only are used. The greater number of scientific terms are translated into Arabic equivalents that are a part and parcel of Arabic language talk. And this is healthy. Once translation is the most frequently used method of Arabization, this means that Arabic is resourceful enough to take new ideas and give it already existent words in Arabic. Here he says examples of geology, علم الأرض. Okay? Geometry, هندسة. Valve, صمام. Radiation, إشعاع. Vibrations, ذبذبات. If you want to opt for transcription, you would say geology instead of علم الأرض, or geologia. This is called naturalization. Okay? Chemical substance, مادة كيميائية. blood pressure ضغط الدم. blood group زمرة الدم. زمرة الدم or we say فصيلة الدم in Arabic. So group is فصيلة. yellow fever الحمى الصفراء. cold زكام. anesthetic مخدر. anesthetic if transcribed you would say anesthetic. cells خلايا. refrigeration تبريد. capacity سعة. mathematical power قوة رياضية. mathematical problem مسألة رياضية. pathology علم الأمراض. hospitalization استشفاء. arid land أرض بعلية. arable land أرض صالحة للزراعة. And the list is so long. Most of Arabic technical dictionaries contain words of this kind. Translation. Rarely do you find transcribed or naturalized word in Arabic dictionaries or English Arabic technical dictionaries like معجم حتة الطبي زي معجم الدكتور الخطيب للمصطلحات الهندسية زي معجم الفاروقي للمصطلحات القانونية. All these opt for translation as a method because it's the best way, okay? While transcription is the worst way because it doesn't attend at all for the tradition of the recipient language and culture. But there is a problem with translation, okay? It cannot solve all problems. Translation as a method cannot solve all problems. This is why rarely and seldom translators would use transcription or would opt for, at least in the first stages before there is a settlement regarding a term, okay? He says the problem of Arabization cannot be solved completely by this good translation method. The difficult part is the Arabization of terms whose equivalents are not already available or known in Arabic language. This means that another powerful method of Arabization is urgently needed, and this is the fourth method, which is coinage. Coinage اللي هو الصك. You create a new word, okay? Or not create in the full sense of the word. We will, when we see how he discusses coinage, he talks about three methods of coinage: revival, الإحياء, derivation, الاشتقاق, and neologisms, المستجدات, creating new words. Let us see what Dr. Ghazala means by revival, derivation, and neologisms or neologisms. Revival, it's a very interesting word. Revival, الإحياء. You have a word in Arabic and you have a recent creation, a recent object. Imagine that thing, okay, that was made 200 or 150 years ago, and it goes on steel, a huge machine that takes people, okay, passengers or goods, and it consists of carts, okay, 12 carts that the Europeans, when they invented it, they called it a train, okay? Now we have the train. The train is exported to the Arab world. Now we need a word for it. Are we going to transcribe it or naturalize it or to translate or to coin a new word for it? Transcribe it, حنقول عن الترين train. Okay? حد ثاني ممكن يقول لك عن الترين ترينة. Okay? ما بعرفش ايش بيقولوا الناس. But coinage is a good solution. Okay? And coinage through revival. Translators at the time would sit down think of something that is already available in Arabic with certain changes or modification, it can appeal and it can be used. They thought of قاطرة الإبل. Okay? The camels are connected one to another in a series of camels carrying goods, carrying people, etc., etc. They think of قاطرة and they come up with قطار as an equivalent. This is revival. أنت أحييت, you revived, أحييت كلمة من قاموسك and you gave it a new meaning, a new layer of meaning that can attend for the new invention, which is قطار. The same applies to that thing that flies in the air carrying people and goods, which the Europeans called airplane, aircraft, plane, طائرة, طيارة. These are very interesting examples of how language and the users of language can be so creative. And these are easy to use. Now you know the Arabic equivalent, the straightforward. If anybody asks you what the meaning of plane, you would say طيارة. That's easy. Okay? That is revival. Okay? It was not there before. The aspect itself, the new layer of the meaning, طيارة, used to signify plane. Okay? And the same applies to the group of papers connected together producing news every day that the Europeans called paper or newspaper. Okay? We opted for jarida because jarida would be used in ancient times for writing or for spreading words, etc., etc. The same applies to car, سيارة, telephone, هاتف, يهتف وهتف. So this is revival. And this is interesting because it tells something about the potential in the language that can accept new words. And here you can remember Hafid Ibrahim being proud of Arabic language when he says أنا البحر في أحشائه الدر كامن فهل سائل الغواص عن صدفاتي. He was a translator and he suffered when he translated La Miserable by Hugo from French into Arabic, and here he came up with this statement or verse saying that Arabic language is so wide, so vast, it can meet the technological needs of the age. Okay? These and other examples are suggested by language academies, المجامع اللغوية. Revival is a successful but difficult way of Arabization. Why is it difficult? Because you need consensus. You need people who sit down and exert a lot of it. Now you easily choose طيارة for plane, قطار, but at the time when they appeared, they posed a great predicament for the Arab academies or Arabic language specialists. How are we going to deal with these newly coming words? Okay? The Arabized terms are perfectly Arabic. It was a reaction to the invasion of Arabic by foreign works. Unfortunately, this method is no longer applied these days because it is considered as both purist and difficult to apply. Moreover, many of the suggested terms according to this method have remained on the shelves of the language academies offices without being given the chance to be used by people. Yeah. الهاتف مش مستخدم, التلفون هو المستخدم. You see? But I would think of disagreeing here because most of these words are already used. قطار, جريدة, okay? Coinage, revival as a facet of coinage is sometimes called engendering التوليد. أنت بتولد قطار من قاطرة وسيارة من سارة ويسير وسيرا وجريدة وطيارة. From now on you can think of words you already know and you feel so familiar, but in fact at certain point in time they were not familiar. Okay, and they took time until they became part of the language. The second facet of coinage is derivation, الاشتقاق, and this is based on measurement, القياس. You know that in Arabic we have the qiyas, we have أسماء الآلة, instrument names, such as مفعل أو مفعل, مفعلة أو مفعلة, مفعال. هذول أكثر حاجة بيستخدموهم في الترجمة تقريبا. They are frequently used in translation. A good number of new technical terms have been derived according to these measures. هذه الأقيسة أو القياسات. مفعل laboratory lab, مخبر أو معمل. factory مصنع. slaughterhouse مذبح أو مسلخ. lancet مبضع. steering wheel مقود. لاحظ مقود هذا كله برضو بيجي في باب الريفايفل. اوكي sort of. observatory مرصد. هو معول. anchorage مرسى. بويلة مرجل اللي بتغلي فيه الأشياء. brass fastener مشبك. على وزن مفعلة، هذول كلهم على وزن مفعل أو مفعل. على وزن مفعلة you have butchery مجزرة أو ملحمة. مجزرة not مجزرة where people get killed, massacre, no. Okay? Also مجزرة can work as an equivalent for massacre. dye works مصبغة. guillotine مقصلة. grease box مشحمة. post mortem room مشرحة. على وزن مفعالة أو مفعالة washing machine غسالة. Yeah, these are easy and you can see the overlap here. Okay, غسالة is also revived من غسل يغسل غسيلا. fridge ثلاجة أو refrigerator. Okay, some people would use براد instead of ثلاجة. That's okay. مكسر جبالة أو خلاطة. تليفون ريسيفر سماعة الهاتف. سماعة. وايبر مساحة السيارة. أوكي. على وزن مفعال اير بامب مفعال أو منفاخ. دريل مثقاب. ايرون مكواه. سيسز مقراض اللي هو المقص. مقص بيمشي الحال برضه. ريك مدراه. Some non-standard measures are also used to derive new technical terms in Arabic. A good number of new instrument terms have been suggested by language academies according to this method of Arabization. Yet, it is still considered a limited way, unable to cover many other terms which are not names of instruments and do not accept such measures. The solution is in the area of neologisms, where new words or new terms have to appear, have to be crystallized, created, structured, and circulated. Okay? Neologisms are new words, ideas, and expressions which were not known beforehand in Arabic. علم النفس. هذا حاجة جديدة. أوكي؟ لوحة المفاتيح، الآلة الكاتبة، الآلة الحاسبة، سوق العملة، هذه كلها neologisms. Okay? They are the major number of Arabized technical terms. They are the major number of Arabized technical terms, and their door is always open to receive newly Arabized words to match the rapid development of technological, computer, and internet sciences in the world. The examples are in thousands. Here are some of them. Psychology, علم النفس. Now, there is a note here. Some people, in light of the idea of linguistic nationalism and its application in translation, some people who, for example, believe that Arabic, like Hafid Ibrahim, for example, بحر في أحشائه الدر, okay, who believe that Arabic must be pure, and we have to look for any coming words in Arabic, and Arabic will find. Al-Manfaluti always lamented the fact that translators would opt for transcription and naturalization before they think of new words or reviving words that already exist in Arabic. And he says, اللغة التي فيها 100 كلمة لتصف السيف فيها لا تعجز أن تصف ما يرد إليها من مستجدات. ومن هنا هذا على منوال المنفلوطي والرافعي. الرافعي كان بيسمي السيجارة الدخينة، وكان بيسمي البطارية المذخرة، على أساس إنه العربي فيها بتقدر. أوكي، هدول كلهم مهمات الملاحظات. ف you can, or some people would believe that a person who names psychology in Arabic, يقول لك أنا بدرس psychology, they can feel that he is culturally defeated. They can take it as a label, okay, for cultural defeatism, الانهزام الثقافي, okay, or cultural alienation, الاستلاب الثقافي أو الاغتراب الثقافي. لكن somebody translating psychology into علم النفس, they believe that he believes in his culture, he believes in his language. So behind these labels, transcription, naturalization, translation, there are cultural, ideological, and political underpinnings. Okay, you need to take care of this aspect of intercultural communication, where you stand as a translator and how you deal with these issues. Okay, psychology becomes علم النفس, physiology علم وظائف الأعضاء, metaphysics علم ما وراء الطبيعة, computer حاسب آلي, حاسوب, data processing معالجة المعلومات, computer programming برمجة الحاسوب, command file ملف الأوامر. These are a little bit old, yeah. software برمجات مجموعة برامج الحاسب, hardware أجهزة أو معدات الحاسب, keyboard لوحة مفاتيح الحاسب, typewriter آلة كاتبة, calculator آلة حاسبة, inflation تضخم. Stock, he now steps from a group of terms into another group. يعني عدى في الطب بعدين في التكنولوجيا الآن اقتصاد. Okay, inflation تضخم. سوق stock market سوق العملات أو البورصة. We'll talk about البورصة in translation to remind me. Okay, how بورصة becomes بورصة. hard currency عملة صعبة. spaceship سفينة فضاء. missile صاروخ. sunshine industries صناعات رائدة، الصناعات التقنية والحاسوبية. ستار وور حرب النجوم. ايدز نقص المناعة المكتسبة أو ايدز. طبعا اللي بيقولوا ايدز هذا ترانسكريبشن. اوكي. هارت ترانسبلانت زرع القلب. ستيتوسكوب سماعة الطبيب، سماعة. يو ريمبر مفعال أو مفعالة أو مفعالة، سماعة. اوكي. electricity كهرباء. Yeah, it's interesting. We'll discuss in translation to the journey of كهرباء in Arabic. Okay. astronaut عالم فضاء أو رجل فضاء. Chemical weapons أسلحة كيميائية, and the list is endless here. Okay. He concludes with 3 notes, and these are very important notes. I would like you to go and study these notes. I am given a signal to finish now, but these notes relate to Arabization, translation, naturalization, coinage, revival, neologisms, and how each one should be dealt with. He says, Arabization of foreign technical terms is so vital to help us match the modern sciences and technologies which develop by the day, if not by the hour, and require great efforts to Arabize them as quickly, efficiently, effectively, and precisely as possible. So you have to be aware that there is a term in this text, and this term needs to be treated. And you are usually advised to go and see how people before you treated this verb. We have new giants. We have a lot of translation giants in the Arab world, and these people exerted extremely humongous effort in order to make your life easy as a translator. Arabization is a difficult process, yet it is quite possible and inevitable. It is natural that all nations render technical terms to their languages in order to enable their citizens to learn, use, understand, and participate in the development of modern sciences and technologies. As pointed out earlier, transcription is a bad way of Arabization. It is rather Westernization. He stresses the idea of Westernization a lot, and this is interesting, giving the foreign word an Arabic dress. Yet transcription is sometimes inescapable and acceptable, especially in medicine, such as names of medicines like octofeed, aspirin, flagyl, bacterine, vitamin, and some illnesses like AIDS, eczema, etc., etc. I would like to stop here and leave the other 2 pages in the conclusions for you to read and understand, or few pages. And that's it for now. In the next class, we are going to go practical as usual. Thank you very much. Stay tuned, please.